My name is Dr. Marcus Chin, and 3 months ago I thought I understood my family. I'm 34, a cardiothoracic surgeon at St. Mary's Hospital in Chicago, and until my father set fire to my medical diploma while screaming about wasted potential, I believed that success was something to be celebrated, not redistributed. The night that burning piece of paper curled into ash in their living room fireplace, I realized they'd never seen me at all. They'd only seen what they wanted me to be. Growing up, I learned early that being good wasn't enough. You had to be the right kind of successful. Sarah, 3 years younger, had always been the golden child. Where I was methodical and quiet, she was charismatic and ambitious. Where I spent high school volunteering at free clinics, she built the perfect college application with debate victories and student government positions. Marcus will be a doctor, Mom would tell relatives. But Sarah will be a surgeon. She has the personality for it. Even then, I knew something was wrong with that logic. Surgery wasn't about personality. It was about precision and the ability to make life-or-death decisions under pressure. But my parents had already decided who fit their vision of medical excellence. I got into Northwestern for pre-med. Sarah got into Harvard. The celebration was telling: champagne for Sarah's acceptance, a handshake for mine. When I graduated summa cum laude and Sarah graduated with honors, they framed her diploma first. Medical school continued the pattern. I went to University of Chicago, throwing myself into every rotation, spending nights mastering surgical techniques. Sarah went to Johns Hopkins and made the social scene as important as her studies. Her Instagram posts from networking events got more family comments than my research publications. Networking is part of medicine, Mom explained. She understands the business side better than you do. The business side. As if saving lives was about cocktail conversations rather than steady hands and years of training. But I kept my head down, finished my residency in record time, and landed a position at one of Chicago's most prestigious hospitals. Sarah finished family medicine and immediately started talking about opening her own practice. That's when the requests began. Marcus, Dad said during a family dinner, Sarah's been thinking about specializing in cardiology. Maybe you could help her get into your program. I explained that cardiothoracic surgery required years of additional training. Sarah would need to complete an entirely different residency track. Dad waved this away like I was being deliberately difficult. You have connections now. Surely someone owes you a favor. Every family gathering included new suggestions for how I could help Sarah's career. Eventually, the requests became more direct. Your practice is doing well, Mom observed. Sarah could really benefit from an established patient base. We think it would be generous if you brought Sarah in as a partner. Eventually she could take over. Take over. As if my decade of surgical training was just a placeholder until Sarah was ready to step in. I tried to explain that cardiac surgery and family medicine were completely different specializations. Medicine is medicine, Dad said dismissively. She'll learn. Besides, she has better business instincts than you do. The pressure intensified over the summer. They'd show up at the hospital unannounced, expecting tours and introductions. They'd mention my work to friends while emphasizing how Sarah would soon be joining the practice. We're not asking you to give up medicine, Mom explained. We're asking you to share it. Family is supposed to support each other. Support. I'd been supporting them for years, paying for Dad's failed business ventures, covering Sarah's student loans, funding family vacations I was too busy to attend. But when I needed support, their concern was always about how my success could benefit Sarah. The breaking point came 3 months ago. I'd just been offered the position of Chief of Cardiothoracic Surgery at St. Mary's, the youngest doctor in the hospital's history to receive such an appointment. I called my parents immediately, expecting pride. Instead, Dad's first response was, "That's perfect timing. Sarah can come in as your associate." I tried again to explain that Sarah wasn't qualified for cardiac surgery. "You're being selfish," Mom said sharply. "This is exactly the opportunity Sarah needs. You've had your time to play doctor. Now it's her turn. Play doctor." As if the hundreds of patients I'd saved were just an elaborate game until the real doctor could take over. The confrontation that ended everything happened on a Sunday evening. I'd just saved a 45-year-old father's life during a complex bypass procedure. I should have gone home, but I stopped by my parents' house to share the good news. I found them with Sarah, surrounded by legal documents. Partnership agreements, business proposals, transfer papers. They'd been planning my future without me. "Perfect timing," Dad said. "We've been working on the transition plan. Sarah's lawyer drew up everything. You just need to sign. I picked up the papers, scanning the legal language. A complete transfer of my practice, my patient list, my hospital partnerships. According to these documents, Sarah would become the primary physician, and I would remain as a junior associate under her supervision. This is insane, I said. Sarah can't perform cardiac surgery. She's never even assisted on a heart procedure. She'll learn, Mom said dismissively. You can teach her. Eventually she won't need you at all. Eventually she won't need you at all. The casual cruelty hit me like a physical blow. I won't sign this, I said quietly. Dad's face flushed red with rage. He stood up so fast his chair tipped backward. Ungrateful, he spat. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? What exactly have you done for me? I asked, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. We raised you. We supported your education. We believed in you when no one else would. Believed in me as a stepping stone to Sarah's success. Believed in me as a means to an end. I'm not signing, I repeated. That's when Dad exploded. He stormed over to the mantelpiece where my medical school diploma hung and ripped it from the wall, glass cracking as the frame hit the floor. Medicine is wasted on you, he screamed, pulling a lighter from his pocket. Sarah needs this more than you. I watched, frozen, as he flicked the lighter and held the flame to my diploma. The paper caught immediately, years of study and sacrifice curling into ash. The embossed seal of the University of Chicago Medical School darkened and disappeared. There, he said, dropping the burning remains into the fireplace. Now maybe you'll understand what's important. I stared at the flames, consuming the physical proof of one of my greatest achievements. I should have been devastated. Instead, I felt something unexpected. Relief. Okay, I said quietly. The simple word seemed to deflate Dad's rage. He'd expected a fight, screaming, maybe violence. Instead, I picked up my keys and headed for the door. Where are you going? Sarah called. We're not done talking about this. I paused at the doorway. Yes, I said. We are. I drove home through empty streets, my mind strangely clear. The diploma burning in their fireplace was just paper. The real proof of my medical training was in my hands, my knowledge, my experience. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd assumed I was just an employee at St. Mary's, that my practice was something they could transfer like a business license. They'd never understood the true nature of what I'd built. Monday morning, I walked into the offices of my attorney, Jennifer Hartley, with a folder thick enough to choke a horse. You're sure about this? She asked. Completely sure. Jennifer opened the folder and began laying out documents across her conference table. Contracts, agreements, intellectual property filings, patent applications, licensing deals. The true scope of what I'd built over 8 years. Your parents have no idea, do they? Jennifer asked. None. What my family had never understood was that I wasn't just a surgeon at St. Mary's. I was the co-founder and majority owner of Advanced Cardiac Solutions, a medical technology company that developed innovative surgical instruments and techniques. While they thought I was playing doctor, I'd been revolutionizing cardiac surgery. It started during my residency when I noticed inefficiencies in standard bypass procedures. Working with biomedical engineers, I'd developed a new type of stent that reduced surgery time by 40% and improved patient outcomes significantly. Instead of just publishing research, I'd filed patents and started a company. Over the years, Advanced Cardiac Solutions had grown from a basement startup to a major player in the medical device industry. Our instruments were used in hospitals nationwide. Our techniques were taught in medical schools. Our patents generated millions in licensing fees annually. My practice, at St. Mary's, was actually a testing ground for new procedures and equipment. The hospital paid substantial licensing fees to use our technology, and I maintained a position on their board of directors. The board meeting is at 10, Jennifer reminded me. At exactly 10 a.m., I stood before the St. Mary's Hospital Board of Directors for our quarterly Advanced Cardiac Solutions report. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, I'm pleased to report that ACIS has exceeded all projections. Our devices are now used in over 400 hospitals nationwide, and our latest innovation is ready for final testing phases. I clicked to the next slide, showing revenue projections that made board members lean forward. The expanded partnership proposal would establish St. Mary's as our primary research facility, bringing an estimated additional $15 million in annual licensing fees. As I continued explaining our revolutionary new device, I heard commotion outside. Through the glass walls I could see my parents and Sarah in the hallway, arguing with security. "Excuse me," I said to the board. "I believe there may be some family members trying to reach me. Would it be possible to invite them in?" Within minutes my parents and Sarah were escorted into the boardroom, their confidence wavering as they took in the formal setting, the presentation screen, the dozen hospital executives staring at them. "Mom, Dad, Sarah," I said pleasantly. "Perfect timing. I was just telling the board about the future of advanced cardiac solutions." Dad stepped forward trying to regain control. "We need to speak with you privately. There's been a misunderstanding about..." "About what?" Dr. Morrison, the chief of staff, interrupted. "I'm sorry, but who are you?" "I'm his father," Dad said. "We're here about his medical practice. There's been some confusion about ownership and..." The silence that followed was deafening. Several board members exchanged glances. "Dr. Chen," Dr. Morrison said carefully, "would you like to explain to your family what Advanced Cardiac Solutions is?" I looked at my parents, at Sarah's increasingly pale face. "Advanced Cardiac Solutions is the medical technology company I founded 8 years ago," I said calmly. "We develop innovative cardiac surgical devices. I'm the majority owner, chief medical officer and primary patent holder. St. Mary's licenses our technology and provides research facilities." Sarah's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. "But, your practice..." "I don't have a practice in the traditional sense," I continued. "I'm a surgeon, an inventor, and a business owner. The work I do here generates millions in revenue for both the hospital and my company." Mom finally found her voice. "Why didn't you tell us?" "Because you never asked," I said simply. "You only cared about what Sarah could take from it." Dr. Morrison decided to help clarify the situation. "Dr. Chen," she said formally, "for the record, would it be possible for someone else to simply take over your position?" I pretended to consider seriously. "Well, they would need to complete medical school, a surgical residency, a cardiothoracic fellowship, and several years of specialized training. They would also need to demonstrate proficiency in biomedical engineering, hold multiple patents, and have experience running a multi-million-dollar medical technology company." "And how long would that typically take?" "Conservatively, 15 to 20 years. Assuming they had the aptitude." Sarah made a small choked sound. Dad's face had gone from red to sickly gray. Mom was staring at me like she'd never seen me before. "Dr. Chin is irreplaceable," Dr. Morrison replied firmly. "His innovations have revolutionized cardiac surgery. His partnership with this hospital has elevated our cardiac program to national prominence." The words hung in the air. Irreplaceable. Revolutionary. Everything my parents had never seen, never acknowledged, never understood. "We just thought, family should help family." Dad made one last desperate attempt. "Family should help family," I agreed. "That's why I've paid for your business ventures, covered Sarah's loans, and funded family vacations for 8 years. But when you decided to burn my diploma and demand I hand over my life's work to someone unqualified, you made it clear that you don't see me as family, you see me as a resource to be exploited." Dr. Morrison cleared her throat diplomatically. "Perhaps this family discussion should continue privately?" "Of course," I said. "The meeting will conclude in about an hour. You're welcome to wait in the lobby." They filed out in stunned silence, leaving me to finalize the partnership expansion that would cement my position as one of the most successful cardiac surgeons and medical innovators in the country. An hour later I found them in the lobby like refugees from their own expectations. Sarah was crying quietly. Mom was staring at her hands. Dad was reading something on his phone, probably Googling advanced cardiac solutions. $52 million in annual revenue, he said without looking up. "Forbes named you one of the top medical innovators under 40. I sat down across from them. "I never told you because you never asked. Every conversation about my career has been about how I could help Sarah. Not once did you express curiosity about my actual work or achievements." Sarah finally spoke. "I didn't know. I thought you were just..." "I didn't realize." "You didn't realize because you didn't want to know. It was easier to see me as lucky or simply in your way." Mom reached toward me then pulled her hand back. "We're proud of you. We've always been proud." "No," I said gently. "You've been proud of the idea of me. But you've never been proud of who I actually am. If you had been, you wouldn't have tried to give it all to Sarah." Dad looked at me directly for the first time. What happens now? Now you go home and think about what you really want from your children, I said, standing up. Because if what you want is success and contribution to the world, you already have that. But if what you want is control and the right to redistribute your children's accomplishments, then you'll need to look elsewhere. 3 weeks later, I received a formal letter from Sarah. She was starting over, building her own family practice, working with underserved communities. She apologized for the years of competition, for treating my success as her failure. The letter was honest, painful, and probably necessary. My parents never apologized. They occasionally sent updates through extended family, always including subtle suggestions that I should reach out. That family was important. But working things out would require them to acknowledge what they'd tried to take from me. 6 months after my diploma burned in their fireplace, Advanced Cardiac Solutions won the National Medical Innovation Award. As I stood on that stage holding an award representing 8 years of innovation and thousands of lives saved, I thought about the diploma burning in their fireplace. They'd thought they were destroying my credentials, forcing me to choose between my achievements and their approval. Instead, they'd freed me from the need for their validation. They'd shown me the difference between family that supports you and family that consumes you. The award sits on my desk now, next to photos of surgical teams and patients who've returned to full, healthy lives. My parents have never seen it, never asked about it. But that's okay. I don't need them to see it. I know what I've built, what I've achieved, and what I'm capable of creating in the future. Sometimes, the greatest gift your family can give you is showing you exactly who they are so you can decide exactly who you want to be. Medicine wasn't wasted on me. It was fulfilled through me. And no one, not even family, will ever take that away again.